A faction of the Pakistani Taliban has claimed responsibility for an attack outside a court in the capital of Pakistan. The leader of Jamaat al-Ahrar saying they carried it out, although an influential commander within the group then disavowing any claims. At least 12 people were killed, 27 wounded in that blast that was heard for miles around, comes as well as the area outside the building in Islamabad is typically crowded.
We were in the court premises around 11:50 a.m. Suddenly there was a loud explosion. As the blast occurred, a severed head fell inside the premises. After that, one or two arms fell as well. Then chaos erupted inside the district courts. We ran, and when we reached the first floor, we saw two vehicles on the main road. One of them was completely on fire, and the other had hazard lights on, and a security alarm was buzzing. There was also a police vehicle there. When the incident happened, we saw many people injured. Many were seriously hurt.
Well, Rochelle Ferguson Bouyahi is here from our International Affairs Desk. Rochelle, Pakistan calling this suicide attack a wake-up call to the security threat that it's facing.
Absolutely. Well, you saw that witness there describing what they saw. Pakistani security officials are calling this a deadly and destabilising rise in terror attacks that have thrown the country into its worst security crisis in more than a decade now. Now, Tuesday's attack, as you said, was claimed by a branch or a breakaway faction, we might call it, of the Pakistan Taliban, although, as you've suggested, that has been questioned by one influential member. Pakistan authorities say that suicide attack outside the courthouse on Tuesday shows that, in fact, these attacks are no longer limited to their borders, where there have been high tensions, but ultimately they're now being hit in the centre of the country, in Islamabad. Just a reminder for our viewers, the last attack, suicide attack in Islamabad was 3 years ago, and that killed one policeman and wounded several others. So that, of course, raising tensions within the Pakistani capital, who is now scrambling to ensure that, this doesn't happen again. While attacks are rare in Islamabad, that's not the case near to the border with Afghanistan. Now, it's important to note that the TPP have carried out at least 600 attacks in the last year alone. We can show you a map of where these attacks have been carried out, mostly in the region of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, that borders Afghanistan. Now, if you see on this map here, there's a red line going up through the centre. That marks this kind of disputed borderline, which is called the Durand borderline. That was drawn up by the British back in 1893. That continues to be a source of contention between the two countries. Pakistan's position is they want this border. They say it's central to their security. Afghanistan has rejected that and said that this is ultimately a colonial era line that was, drawn up a long, long time ago, and it no longer, holds any purpose. But it continues to be the source of tensions. Now, this geopolitical fault line was a scene, you may remember, Stuart, back in October, of heavy fighting that left hundreds dead on both sides and a very fragile ceasefire in place. But who knows if that will hold? Yeah, indeed. The attacks marking the latest deterioration then between Islamabad and Kabul. Absolutely. A lot of accusations being levelled at one another, and these relations, as you say, severely deteriorating over recent months. Islamabad then has a series of accusations for Kabul. They say that they're giving sanctuary to the Pakistan Taliban, who are allowed to, operate within their territory and ultimately plan these attacks that are hitting Pakistan so hard. Of course, the Pakistan Taliban affiliated with the Afghan Taliban, which have, kind of buoyed the Pakistan Taliban since their return to power in 2021. Pakistan also accuses the Afghan Taliban of sheltering the Taliban Pakistan's leadership. So high-ranking members, Pakistan says they're no longer able to get hold of, to find. And then, of course, they can't dismantle terror cells because the leadership is essentially out of place for them. Another accusation from Pakistan is that there are these training camps in Afghanistan where the TTP is both being armed and also financed by Kabul. Now, Kabul's position on this is that they deny that. They say that on our territory wouldn't allow another country to be targeted using our territory. Afghanistan says, though, that Pakistan did carry out 2 strikes on Afghan soil, one of them in Kabul, and as a result, they ramped up attacks on Pakistani troops stationed at the border. a heavy-handed response there, which again resulted in dozens of casualties.
Finally, Rochelle, Pakistan not only blaming Afghanistan for a role in these attacks.
No, that's right. In the most recent communique or statement, I should say, from Pakistan, they've implicated India in this. They say that, to quote Pakistan, New Delhi is pursuing state terrorism. It's not the first time. The Pakistani government says that those attacks that we saw on Tuesday were orchestrated from Afghanistan, but were done at the behest of India. Now, in terms of India, they've rejected those allegations. They say they're baseless, they're foundless, but it does remind us of these ongoing tensions between these two nuclear neighbours, when, of course, the highest tensions in May this year when we saw India launch a missile strike in Pakistan.
Rochelle, thanks very much.